Hello and welcome back to Fili Daily Vlogs. Today is Thursday, April 23rd. Yep.
Yep.
I'm managing to keep control of the day in my head a little bit better. Okay. And welcome to the vlog. I'm Gus.
I'm Tim.
I'm Amber. And this is Cadmus.
Yay, Cadmus.
Yeah.
Yep. And together, at least the three of us, plus Cadmus sometimes, we make Fili Creative, a audiovisual company based here in Central Kansas. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to start like we always do with a quick overview of the current state of the pandemic. So starting with the world map, we're still at, we're almost to 2.6 million, but we're still technically at 2.5 million cases, 180,000 deaths. The global curve is remarkably flat currently of new cases, which, I guess we'd like to see that start going down probably, but it is flat, so that's, better than it not being flat or being vertical still. In the U.S., it does look like we're trending downward slightly. 834,000 cases. 42,500 deaths, we're still, there's still new cases every day, but the rate of new cases has gone down. Unfortunately, if we jump down to the Kansas map, today we have 2,292 cases and 111 deaths, and we saw yet another jump up yesterday that's even sharper than before. I was surprised to hear the Kansas, what do they call it? Health and Human Services or whatever. The guy who runs that department of the state said this morning, and I just overheard it on the TV, that today should be the highest new case count.
Ooh.
But I don't know where, what his information is, but I would be a little surprised if that's true, given, it would be a real reversal of what we've seen for the last week, which is just steady, consistent growth. And really the last few days, it seems like it's gone up quite a bit more than normal even. So,
right.
And the state map, there's a bunch of counties popping up with their first cases and with little outbreaks. So I'd say we're to the point where maybe 60% of the state has a case, county-wise.
Wow.
And most of the ones that don't have them yet are extremely rural.
There was a map circulating yesterday, I think, that outlined medically, and per the CDC's suggestions, when a state should reopen to normal business with precautions. And a lot of the country, or a lot of the states that are the latest that should go all the way into June are states that just started so slow on the testing and getting people, found and isolated. Kansas isn't supposed to open up until June 8th or something, and it's that's the latest category.
Wow.
Everybody else, there's some places that can be open as late as May 28th,
Jeez.
Maine and Montana and some of those places that just had a really good handle on it from the jump.
Do you mean April or do you mean May?
They said May, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious more than anything. Yeah.
Did you guys see?
Go
ahead.
No, Hannah was telling me kind of what you were just saying, Amber, this morning. She said something about they need to see 2 weeks of declining new case rates, I believe.
Okay.
And obviously we have the opposite of that. We basically have 2 weeks of
inclining.
Right. So I don't know what that means. But sorry, Tim. Go
ahead.
You're
good. Did you guys see? And I don't know if I didn't really read the article at all. I just saw the headline. I don't remember what site it was on, but I saw something about the possibility of using drones as a way of monitoring social distancing and those who aren't.
Oh,
yeah, I
God.
saw a piece on that on NBC this morning.
That's crazy.
They've been
I
doing
think we'd
that,
have to get
or
really
similar
desperate.
things in China. But yeah, I would agree.
Right. I think we'd have to get really desperate and actually make the stay-at-home mandatory. because right now it's not, and it's nowhere near enforceable. So
Right. I was gonna say, I know, like the other day, on one of my walks, I walked a slightly different path, and there was a group of what seemed like 5 to, I don't know, maybe 8 people together, like young folks together in a like in a very small space of a porch,
right,
and they clearly didn't care.
yeah, oh yeah,
And then
I feel like Kansans are really good at the social part of social distancing.
yes.
You know.
Unfortunately, it's kind of like a tornado. We're like, oh look, there's a risk of dying. Let's go sit on our roof and drink a beer.
You're
I feel
not
like
wrong.
I feel like it's the same way.
Yeah.
Like, we're not taking it seriously. Like,
Yeah.
we know that, oh, well, it could kill us, but there's nothing we can do about it, so let's just go hang out. Like, tornadoes are the same way. It could kill us, there's nothing we can do about it, let's just go hang out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said,
Right.
the most I ever go out is for my walk, and that's purely because I just.
We got a stroller yesterday, didn't we?
Did you really? Yay!
Yeah, we can go for walks now. Yeah.
That's great.
I actually did end up yesterday afternoon when I started feeling better, managed to go out for a walk.
Good.
And the best way in the rain, because
Yep.
why not?
We'll probably take some pictures and videos of our walk. So, yep. We can make a cute little video out of it.
Yeah.
We might go on that little bear hunt and see if we can't see any bears.
Yeah.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
There you go.
Give us something. Give us a goal to walk towards.
Are you and Hannah still walking?
Yeah, we're.
Or you live in a little bit more of a secluded neighborhood, so it's a little bit easier, I think, to stay away from folks.
Yeah, it's very pleasant to walk around here. We kind of live on the end of a street, and so like it only connects to another street on the other end, basically.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's very secluded, and our issue is that our dogs are not well socialized.
Oh.
And so when we get typically to the big street that connects to the rest of the world, and there's other people walking and dogs, our dogs.
Do they have like the little
If
man
Lily-
syndrome?
The what? syndrome?
Little man, where they think
I
that
don't-
they're bigger than they actually are.
So they just.
They definitely think that. I think it's primarily out of like fear and like alert. There's an animal
Right.
that I see that's maybe bad,
Right.
but maybe I don't
It doesn't
know
belong to us.
Um,
This isn't ours. He's not our friend.
Our two dogs are very different. Lily is a white Morkie, and if she walks by herself, she's very friendly. She's okay with other dogs. It's fine.
Wait.
Lucy,
Morkie?
yeah, Morkie. It's a mixture between a Maltese
And a Yorkie.
Okay. 'Cause all I can
She's-
picture is Robin Williams as Mork from Mork and Mindy. So.
So she is. She has 3 grandparents that were Maltese and 1 grandparent that was a Yorkie.
Oh.
So
she's
more
3/4.
Maltese than Yorkie, but
Yep.
Interesting.
And then Lucy is a little brown Yorkie, and she just barks her head off at anything, anytime, all the time. And so what happens is when they're both out on a walk, Lucy will spot something and start to growl, and then for some reason that triggers Lily, the one that's normally calm, and she just starts screaming.
Aw.
Like as loud and as high pitched as she can. She starts screaming.
oh my gosh.
And it is scary. It sounds like a little kid screaming for help.
Right.
And it is just plain awkward.
No.
And so we're working really hard to try to
Yeah.
get a little more control over them on walks.
My dogs
dis-
are kind of the
distract
same
them with
way,
treats
so
and stuff.
don't feel too bad. Like, and of course, my dogs are scary because I have a big, huge, black, shaggy lab. So when he starts going nuts and barking at everybody, they're like, "Oh God, he's gonna kill us." So
That's
when he was a puppy, we lived on State Street, and there were a bunch of kids that would tease him and Maka while they were outside, and they would like kick things at them and like throw stuff at them and like be at like the very end of their chain, and then like by the time I could like get to them and tell the kids to go away, they'd be running off. So my dogs are just traumatized.
So you've actually had to tell kids to get off your lawn?
Yeah, actually.
Get off my lawn!
Which is hilarious because that was like 5 years ago. Because like that was when these guys were like puppies, like little
wow.
bitty. So.
I can't.
Let your offer.
I don't know who you're looking at.
Yo, I saw he tried
Probably
to high five you a second ago,
Yes.
or to high five your face.
Like, he gets really excited about his bottle. So like he sees it and he like zeroes in on that thing. He's like, "This is mine." You can see him grabbing it.
There is nothing else but
he
bottle.
gets so excited about it.
To be fair, I would too.
Like, yes.
Okay, well, do we have any questions for today?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
All right, let's hear
What is the last encounter you had with a random stranger? If you can remember back before all this social distancing happened.
Oof.
That's a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. I have such a bad
Something
memory.
random that happened with a stranger?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
A random encounter with a
there
stranger.
was... I went to our office to pick up some stuff. Oh, man, it's probably been a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a vet office next to our office. And there was a guy walking in with his dog. And he and his dog were just so cute.
Aw.
And the dog was nervous because I had a mask on. And so he kept sitting down and kind of looking at me scared like. And so I was like, "It's okay, I'm sorry." And so that's probably my last kind of
Okay. I have like almost like an existential question for you. Are you ready? Okay. If your life was a meal, what kind of meal would it be?
Oh. I don't even know like how to process that one.
So you're saying your life is processed food?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
feel like maybe we could do each other's because I feel like Tim's life, like as much as I can like see into the window of your life, would be like something warm and either soupy or stewy. So like, right, right. So and maybe like I don't know, maybe like chili or stew, maybe something warm.
I accept
And
that.
then it would be like I don't know, some kind of like alcoholic drink on the side, but not like straight up liquor, like something mixed, like an Irish coffee or something. Yeah. Yep.
All right, I
Yep.
accept that. I appreciate that. He said, chewing on his beer bread.
Yeah, exactly.
I think mine would be like a bunch of little dishes that are very like I don't know, like a kaleidoscope of different ethnic
Ooh,
foods.
okay.
So you used to be kind of like, maybe like a tapas, but like of different ethnic foods.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah. That sounds good.
I think my life as a meal would be very random. It would be like the first course would be like French bread pizza, and then like the second course would be like smoked salmon, and then like just this culmination of random things that happen to me like throughout the day inspires just a random course order, and like everything. Like sometimes there would be dessert first, but like
So what type of food do you think Cadmus is? Like in the dish of your in the dish of your life, what food is Cadmus?
what kind of food are you?
Besides
I don't know.
besides adorable.
Like his emotions like change so fast. Like he can go from like happy and laughing to like screaming bloody murder in like 2 seconds. So like I feel like he would have to be something spicy. Like you take a bite and you're like, this is great, and then like 2 seconds later you're like, oh god, it's burning my mouth.
So he's a curry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
A cute little curry.
All right, I've got a question.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your story about being under intense pressure, and how did you handle it?
Oh man. Working in a homeless shelter has done some things to me.
Yeah, I
Like,
can believe it.
I just because you have to like worry about people, like, and
Yeah.
after 5 o'clock, there was only one staff member on campus, so it was me. I would work, like 1:30 to 10:30. So after 5, it was only me. So everybody on campus came to me with their problems, and like I've seen little kids that got their fingers smashed in doors that were bleeding everywhere that I had to help their mom like bandage them up because
God.
she was panicking and never seen blood before. I've had like I've had somebody with dementia who had run away from Wichita because they were scared of where they were living, and they came here and like was trying to hide here, that I had to like call their nursing home and try to get them back home.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
there was a mom who lived across the street in the apartments who came over, and she was like, "Hey, my kids locked themselves in my room, and I can't get to them because like the key won't unlock the deadbolt because they had one of those like spring lock deadbolts that you could only unlock from the inside once you like spring locked it."
Oh no.
And her kids couldn't figure it out because they were like 4 and like 2 or 3. So she was like, "I don't know how to get back in there." So like I climbed up the fire escape and went through a window to unlock her door.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, crazy stuff. Lots and lots of crazy stuff.
What was the question again? It was about pressure.
What's your story about being under intense pressure, and how did you handle it?
Probably for me, any time that I've ever felt like immense pressure, it's typically always when I'm directing. And like the last radio drama that we put on, that just due to the fact that I couldn't have everybody at every rehearsal, and due to the nature of those rehearsals, I only got like between 6 to 10 of them, which is not very many, and so
Right.
trying to coordinate with everyone's schedule is an absolute nightmare. And I mean, at least Gus, for
Yeah.
sure, that I was very like like right up until the performance, because there were so many elements like the tech side of stuff I totally trusted you and Amber to take care of, and I was perfectly fine with that. But like the performance angle of things and trying to organize and get all of them in the same space was just nightmarish. And there were things that popped up that I have absolute no control over, that I can't just sit like with a couple of them. They had that were going to Wichita University or whatever it is.
No, you're right. Wichita State.
And like the night before, I think it's the night before our performance, they were required to all of a sudden be there for a performance that was maybe like 10 minutes long. And they weren't going to be allowed to come until later, and I couldn't, even though they were getting paid for that gig.
Yep.
That was for a class, so I mean, it's not like I could call up the professor and say, "Hey, let me have my actors." So I just had to.
For me, my story, I worked at a camp 2 summers back in 2010 and 2011, and the second year I did a lot of what we do here, video and sound work and presentations and things. But the first year I did, I was a lifeguard and a tower facilitator.
Okay.
So I helped belay people climbing on the tower.
Oh wow!
And so I had a supervisor who helped me run the tower, and it wasn't just me and him. There was other people too. But so how belaying works is one person, there's a pulley at the top of the tower and a rope that goes down to the climber, and then on the other end of that rope is you, the belayer, and your weight keeps you on the tower. So you both wear harnesses. You're both tied in on the rope. So we had a really boring afternoon one day, and my instructor, or my boss, basically my supervisor, he decided he was going to climb just for the fun of it. So what happened was we basically, I had a harness on, he had a harness on. There are 2 different kinds of harnesses, and so he started climbing. So he climbed all the way to the top of the tower. It's 45 feet, I think, maybe 48 feet. and the top of the route he was climbing has a wood 45-degree angle coming out over, and so as you get towards the top, you're basically like the rope isn't really supporting you so much. It wants to pull you off. So, so he lost his handle.
Oh, geez.
Which, you know, is a totally normal thing to happen. And he came back off the tower and was like in midair. And in that moment, it became obvious to us that he hadn't doubled backed. You're supposed to basically in your harness, you're supposed to put the harness, the strap through and then again in. You know, double it down basically, and that's what held it in place. But he didn't do that on any of the three places he needed to.
Oh God!
And so his harness fell apart, and he fell 45 feet to the ground.
Oh!
And you know, he basically bounced at my feet and then just laid still. He was conscious, but
did he break anything?
That no bones, I don't think, but he had some internal injuries, and I think he's. Maybe still has some issues related to that. So, you know, at that point, our camp emergency action plan, you know, was initiated, and we, like, everybody did what they needed to do, and we got into the hospital really quick, and things were crazy. Okay. But that's been one of the kind of defining moments of my life. And every time I go to that camp, I revisit the tower, and I think about that day, and I think about everything that happened, and that's
intense.
It was like, terrifying. And the worst thing was that we were, you know, we didn't have a huge staff, and we had a camp there, and so I had to go in lifeguard after that happened.
Yep.
And I'm extremely thankful that nothing, you know, there was no kids that needed help that day, because I was not
mentally prepared for that. Right.
Present.
No, that makes sense.
No, and so it was just, you know, just. Yeah, I'm just really
I believe
it's over. But yeah, it was a very formative day for me, and I think about it a lot. I don't really, I consciously try not to put myself in situations where other people's lives are in my hands. Ever since then, I haven't trusted myself in those kinds of situations.
Yeah,
so
and I mean that's kind of like being at the shelter where I was like. There was a woman who went into like a diabetic coma, so she was like seizing up and everything, and we had to wait for paramedics and like just regular old health stuff. Like there are people who have epilepsy that come and stay in the shelter. There are people who, you know, spend all day outside walking around in the heat and come home with heat stroke and then like actually like pass out, and you have to like deal with it. Like I'm just glad my job doesn't require me to take on so much stress anymore, because that was some stressful stuff.
I believe it. Yeah. I've got a question.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What is the strangest way you met one of your friends? For example, the one that springs to mind for me, when I was in Coffeyville, I was on my way to one of my classes, and this was when I was a freshman. I don't remember what class, but I had passed this girl in the hall, and I didn't recognize her, but she was actually part of the theater department, like I was. But like she recognized me, I guess, from like the getting together thing at the beginning, whatever. And like we passed in the hall, and she's like, "We're friends now." I'm like, "What? We're friends now?" And so like. We did end up becoming really good friends, and like she actually lives in Wichita now with her husband and their baby. But I just that's probably one of the weirder experiences I've ever had.
Okay. I could tell you the weirdest person that I've met and made friends with.
That's fair. Is it me? Because that would make sense.
No, I'm gonna have to go with Leo, because like
yeah.
Like, he came to college and had no idea what was going on, joined the debate team, had no idea what the debate team was about, like, none, like, zero idea. Traveled with us and, like, was either super loud or super quiet. There was no in between. And then, like, after a while, we just became friends. And then we did the newspaper together, and we were locked in, like, this tiny closet of an office for, like, 12 hours a day pretty much. Like and then we became pretty fast friends.
And so you either become mortal enemies or you become friends. There's no between.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer. I have. There's been people I've known kind of in surreal moments, I guess. I get this is random, but like I've said before in the vlog, my sister is a missionary in Africa for 2.5 years, and so we went over there and visited her. And that was the first time I'd ever been to a third world country and really seen people in like extreme poverty and with, they have nothing to their name except for the clothes on their back. And, but so we got to meet a lot of her missionary friends and stuff. And so, it was, there was a wide variety, or not, there's maybe, I think we met 4 or 5 different people associated with that, and there were some that were from the area that were more, I'd never met anyone from Africa, and so it was just really cool to meet them. And then there were the main, like the people in charge. They had 2 daughters that were quite a bit older than me, but I enjoyed. They reminded me of is it the thornberries?
The wild thornberries.
From,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the missionary version of them. Like
I like it.
They didn't travel
love
an RV or anything like that, but they were just kind of wild. Like they just had energy, and like we went out and saw the whale sharks and stuff, and one of them was the one that reached out to touch the whale shark and it disappeared. That whole story, and like they were just very adventuresome.
Wait. As a side note,
interesting people. So
did you get Donnie's name from Wild Thornberries?
Nope. His name is actually Donnie Darko.
Okay.
That's why I call him Donnie D.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh man, I haven't watched that film in forever.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It is.
As you can tell, my dog is named after her. So.
Sorry, go ahead, guys.
I love the Wild Thornberries.
Yes.
It's been a long time
a
since I've
good
watched
show.
the show. I've got a question that kind of leads back to the pressure question from before. What's the best way you've found to calm yourself when you get stressed?
Oh.
If I'm like truly, truly stressed out, like it takes a lot. Okay, because like I spent years working in the homeless shelter doing crazy, crazy things like every other day it seemed like. So it takes a lot to stress me out, and like if I get stressed, it's more of an emotionally stressed than it is like a situationally stressed.
Yeah.
And music fixes that a lot for me. Like I'll just turn on my stereo and blast some really loud music and make my neighbors hate me, but at least I feel better.
I find for myself it's a combination of that and going for a walk. Because walking is supposed to help release I don't know,
the happy endorphins.
Yeah, because it helps release that and it's very relaxing. That for me is like there was I don't know, there was a day a couple months ago or something, I was working on something at the office. I think it was that day that I was trying to figure out why my screen wasn't attaching, and then I kept getting more and more frustrated.
Yeah, and then I went in and wiggled one cord and it fixed it.
Right. I thought I had checked all the cords. I was so pissed at myself, and so I was so I had to go on an angry walk. So I grabbed my iPod and walked from our office up to the top of Indian Rock, all the while listening to, technically, it wasn't per se, angry music, but I was listening to Tenacious D, so, heavy metal. It helps feed that vibe. And Tenacious D just makes me happy in general. So, the combination of the heavy metal beat and,
that makes sense.
That, and just going up there, it helped, on my way back down and just being up there and looking out, that helped me immensely. I was so much more calm when I got back.
For me, a lot of my stress comes from having to make business decisions, and I'm kind of in the middle of one of those right now, as you both know. And unfortunately, the only thing I've found that really gets me through it is literally getting through it, just getting the situation resolved, and more often than not, the bigger the situation, the more resolved things feel after it's over. Like, it's a lot of times the bigger stressors in the business world are things that you probably should have done a long time ago.
Yep.
Or, and so when you actually finally get around to dealing with it, it's really painful. But then it just.
That was kind of like me in grad school when I had like a 20-page paper to write, and I was just like stressed out, and like everything sucked and everything was awful, and the only thing that fixed it was just like sitting down and like grinding it out. And like the second I was done, I was just like, oh, yes.
I did that with my.
Thank the gods.
When I was in theater history, it was just three of us, and this was when Richard S. Fang was still the theater director at Wesleyan. He had given us at the beginning of the semester, we each got a topic to write a 5,000 word essay on, which is approximately like 15 pages or more. And so, like, the topic I was given was the play Uncle Tom's Cabin and the effect it had on the decision to end slavery. I kind of selectively forgot about that paper until Thanksgiving, and it was due like 2 weeks later. And even then, so like, I think it was like I was on Thanksgiving at my parents and realized it, and I was like, oh crap.
Oh god.
And so like I started doing some research. I think it was like 2 days before it was due. I started just cranking it out. So I wrote a 15-page paper in like a day and a half.
Dang. All right.
I
did
that too a couple
I think my
times.
final paper for sociology for my undergrad was like a 30-page research paper, and we had to do our own research and everything. So like I had to like I went to a debate tournament, and I picked the topic of like the way you dress and if it affects your ballot or if it's like mentioned on it. So like everybody complains about that. So every time I heard somebody complaining, I'm like, hey, can I get a photocopy of that ballot? So then I used that as my numbers, but like I hadn't written anything, and I wrote and analyzed all of that data in a 30-page paper over one night. Yeah. It was it was a long haul. It was like a 24-hour long haul, write this paper and get it done kind of thing. But
when we had our journal to do for Headland for the Wesleyan Journey.
Oh my god.
I pretty much locked myself. So because I had the key to the green room.
Yep.
At Wesleyan, like that was kind of my sanctuary. Because like the only other person who had a key for it was either really like faculty or like, just faculty and me. So like. That was where like I just locked myself in there for hours and would just try and BS page after page after page of that. And it was a journal, so it had to be handwritten.
Oh my god, yes. I remember that.
I don't know about you guys, but whenever I have anything that's like even remotely negative or anything that is like a big task I have to complete, like I get so fixated on it, I can't think about literally anything else. Like it just it consumes my entire brain, and it just stresses me out. And so that stress is like a primary motivator for me to just pound it out and get through it. Because if I
don't know.
That makes sense.
I've always had the I think it was since like maybe third grade. I've had the mindset of if I get it done now, I don't have to do it later. Because apparently in first and or second grade, I was a terrible student. Like I actually got like in trouble because I apparently refused to do my work.
Ooh.
So apparently third grade is where I turned it around. But like it depends. Like typically I have that mindset. So where like if I just push through it now, then I don't have to worry about it later. But it depends on the project, because there are some things like the food bank video. As much as I appreciate doing that, there were days where I just absolutely had no motivation to work on it at all. And I tried. Like I would sit there staring into the void that was that video, and like nothing would happen. So it just depends on the work.
I get it. It's really hard on video work like that when you
I was gonna say, because
alone.
I
find
the most I could get.
I find when you have two people working on a project like
Right.
that, it just makes
Right.
Yeah,
like
it
if one of us
exponentially
could have sat
easier.
there and been like, "Hey, that kind of sounds like where the story's going. Do you have something that says that?" You could have just plugged it in and
Right,
like
that's
when
the
we
thing, like, 'cause I
when
know
we
the-
diagram a video and put it up on the whiteboard, it's
Right.
a million times easier.
Right, and that's what I was thinking of because the last couple of videos we'd done like this, you and Amber had been doing that, and then when the quarantine happened, I was kind of forced to do it solo,
Yeah.
and that just made it.
Yep. And you did a great job.
I appreciate that.
Great.
Thank
If
you.
you haven't
Yeah.
seen that video, check it out. I think if you go to the Salina Food Bank on YouTube, you should be able to
And on
find
their
it.
Facebook page.
Yeah, it was just a really great piece.
Mhm.
Yeah, about our local food bank
Yeah,
and all the
isn't
good
it?
they do in our community.
Mhm.
So, with that happy note, I think we'll wrap it there.
Oh, wait.
Thank you very much.
I've
One
got
last
one
quick
quick
question.
Okay, better be fast.
It is fast. Okay, I'm going to slightly adapt this question, which says, "How best do you like your ice cream?" I'm going to change that to, "What is your favorite ice cream?"
I would say vanilla bean because I'm boring.
Oh my god. I like chocolate chip cookie dough. Or
Also good
cookies and
choice.
cream. Those are the top two.
Oh, cookies and cream, great choice. For me, it's kind of a tie. It's either butter pecan, or my
That's a good
favorite
one.
right now is pistachio and honey.
That does
That's
sound
also a
good.
good one.
It's made by Private Selection. If you want some.
Okay, keep that in mind. All right.
Okay, now we can
if
get
you
out
like
here.
this video, hit like and subscribe. Hit our notification bell to be notified every time we come out with a new episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you for one more episode tomorrow because tomorrow's Friday, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes,
Sure
yes,
enough.
it is.
I lost it again, but I got it back. Okay, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
Bye.